Yeah.
We've not popped up yet.
Who's a pop-up?
Oh.
We're not just a pop-up. We're here all the time, as you know.
Oh, let's make sure this is muted. Otherwise, I'll get me sent again. Well, let's
begin.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News, your beacon of, just a little bit of light-hearted stuff as we look at the news. I mean, we do cover serious issues, but a little bit of light-heartedness as well. Pop rolled into like a big bun that you can shove in oven, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but it started off all right, and then it tailed off after a bit. My name's Jason Holmes, and we're on to 8 until 10 on Monday and Tuesday evening. And of course, I'm joined by my erstwhile co-presenter, Adie Hardy. Good evening, Adie.
Morning.
How's your weekend been, brother?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. My team won twice.
Awesome.
And the American team that I follow, they won as well. So, you know.
Good man. Good. Well, good for them. You're talking about Sheffield Steelers. You're talking about skidding, aren't you?
Ice hockey, yeah.
Skidding. Brilliant.
Yeah, a proper man's game, yeah.
Do you know, when I used to go ice skating, when I had two legs, on the odd occasion that I went ice skating, my fucking feet afterwards killed. I don't know how they do it. They must have these proper. I mean, to be fair, I were wearing spasmos.
I was just going to say, you know, when you look at a pair of skates that are probably best part of £1,000 nowadays.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
two pence plaggy boots. Yeah, I just thought I'd find this that's behind me. You probably can't read it, but it actually says, I don't know why I'm looking because it's not really there. It says Rotherham Borough Council, where everyone matters. Fuck off.
Yeah, everyone matters. Please.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Fucking Rotherham Council. Yeah. Just one thing I've noticed. There's a lot of people, particularly on social media, and I'll name one. Gareth Ike. People reporting that they're getting more and more anxiety. I don't know whether it's something to do with social media, whether there's some sort of algorithm they're putting in there, whether they've sorted out a way to make somebody feel. Because we were part of an experiment to it, and they did admit that they were doing experiments, weren't they? Didn't they? That they were doing, see if they could change people's moods and stuff. So a lot of people taking a break from social media, and they've spotted that. So that's good. Go on, Abe.
Good. Get off it. Shut it down. Fuck it off. It's wank. It's shit.
Well, it gets this show out. That's all we do. So we're by the way, we're on the Facebook platform.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So switch it off apart from that bit.
So if you're listening, Zook, I call him Zook. We all do, all his mates. If you're listening, Zook, we apologise about that. So let's get on to our guest for this evening. Now, it were Adie's idea, so I'm going to get Adie to introduce our guest and to because he did have a whole big thinking behind it.
Yeah, my brain just kind of sometimes it just gets diarrhea and just
sounds so. By the way, before we start, I want to say, fucking Sky are a bunch of fucking scuzzy bastards. You know what they've done? Right? I've fucked my Sky off, right? So I've paid I've done my month's notice. I had football and shit like that on Sky. Decided it was too much. We didn't want to fucking pay for it anymore and pay to watch fucking adverts. That's one thing. On a subscription channel, you shouldn't watch it. There shouldn't be any advertisements. It shouldn't
completely agree.
There, you're paying twice. But anyway, the thing about it is that the sort of switched the Skybox off. Now we've changed to BT, so we need an aerial. But because of the fuck up that went on, we're not getting an aerial until this Friday. Thursday, sorry. We're not getting an aerial till this Thursday. So we need an aerial for a lot of the stuff, the free stuff to come through. Well, so I thought, we'll just leave the Skybox on. When the subscription's over, it'll just be like a free view. I'll be able to watch the free channels. We won't be able to watch the subscription channels, right?
Yeah.
Fine, fair enough. No. They completely shut your box down, so you can't watch fuck all. So we've got but we haven't got BBC, which is probably a good thing. But anyway, it's just what a bunch of fucking spiteful little wankers that they are. So they're not going to get another fucking penny from us, are they? Ever.
Never.
In the life. No. Anyway, go on, Aid. You carry on.
Yeah. Well, before we do anything, let's just introduce Mark. I'm just going to say Mark. I'm not going to say who he is, although his name's on the screen. Because he's currently banned for doing the sort of videos that he does, which is destroying shills and saying, look, this person isn't what they appear to be. So, Mark, hi, mate. How you doing?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was listening to one of your shitty little vids for a minute.
I figured I'd have to come in that way, seeing you come in this morning.
Yeah. Not me thinking behind tonight. If I just kind of get me a little bit of notes, right? The way my brain kind of worked was, it's as you probably know, Jason and I live. Well, Jason definitely lives in South Yorkshire. I've lived in South Yorkshire three times, and at the moment, for the past 3.5 years, I live just, and I mean literally just over the border into northeast Derbyshire. Now, it's no secret, well, it shouldn't be, that Rotherham Borough Council and South Yorkshire Police have made considerable mistakes that have been brought out in the public arena in the past, God knows how many number of years. Now, coincidentally or not, young Mr. Jason Holmes has been involved in some of those. And there is then a link through to Mark. Mark lives down in Luton. I know, I won't mind me telling you that. And of course, down there in Luton is Tommy Robinson. Now, a few months ago, we couldn't have even mentioned his name without getting a strike on the channel, and probably the channel shut down, but I'm hoping we can now without that happening. What I wanted to kind of do is bring Jason in to explain his thing with South Yorkshire Police. So, right, okay. Jason, when was Hillsborough? How long ago was that? You know much more than me. You're a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I know it wasn't a Sheffield Wednesday game, but it was at Hillsborough. When was that?
1989.
Okay. Again, it's no big secret that since 1989, there was, 97 people
96.
died? Sorry?
96.
96 people died that day. And a lot of people's families were affected by that. And a public meeting and on other things that Jason and I have done, the chap that actually wrote the Hillsborough report, which was Jason's friend Tony Farrell, he was expected to write a report saying that nothing to see here, everything's fine. Where actually,
no, not the Hillsborough report. No, not the Hillsborough report.
Sorry?
No, Tony Farrell was. He didn't write the Hillsborough report. That's way before his time.
Oh right, okay.
Tony Farrell was an analyst. So he was an intelligence analyst. I think he said principal intelligence analyst.
That's right. Yeah.
For South Yorkshire Police, and what they did is they asked him to write a report about if they wanted some more funding. And so what they wanted him to do is to write a report asking what the impact of terrorism could be on South Yorkshire.
All right.
Islamic terrorism. And he said, well, no, because it's all done by government, and they sacked him. So, yeah. Because he's been involved in South Yorkshire Police, he's also been privy to some of the things that were going on at Hillsborough, and also he's also been privy to a few people. He's had a few conversations, shall we say, with people about what really happened that day.
Yeah, and of course, since then he's been not covertly. What's the word I'm looking for? Observed. He's been overtly observed, where the police have literally just stood in front of him as if to say, "We're watching you." quite a few times. Then also with South Yorkshire Police and Rotherham Council was there was a journalist. God, what was his name? Andrew Norfolk. He's the guy from the Times. Is he the one that you was on about the other day, Jason?
I don't think so.
Well, Andrew Norfolk saw a court report of about 8 or 10 men who had raped a young girl, a child, in, I believe it was Manchester, in 2010, 2011. From there, and he was working at the Leeds office of the Times at the time. And what he basically did, he just said to his editor, "Can I run with this for 3 months?" And of course, he was looking at gangs of men who were raping young girls. And of course, over 3 months, he then went down to see his editor in London, thinks his boss was going to say, "Yeah, good job." And what his boss then said was, "Right, you're going to do this for another 4 years." So the Times just would not let this lie. And of course, what they came up with was that a lot of the men who were involved in these gangs were chiefly Pakistani Asians. And there were cases where there were, 13, 14 men in a room with an underage girl who was naked, drunk, and off her face on the drugs that they'd smashed down her face. And the police would come in and arrest the young girl for being drunk and disorderly, which is just madness and bonkers. And I needed to do that bit before I brought Mark in, because down in Luton is Tommy Robinson, and there's a lot of history behind Tommy Robinson that a lot of people who've looked at him since he kind of became big enough in the media to have God knows how many thousand people chanting his name at the gates at the end of Downing Street. I don't know anybody else whose name's been chanted by thousands of people at the government railings at the end of Downing Street. So Tommy Robinson did something, or got to do something. What I want to ask of you, Mark, is this. The child stuff that was going on, not just in Rotherham, but in a lot of other towns, is what Tommy Robinson seemed to latch on to. When did that happen? Was that his thing from the beginning? What was it that sort of got him to that point? Because that's the thing that really brought him up in the public eye, as far as I could see. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, my thoughts are he's come from the BNP, yeah, Nationalist Party, and when you look at the word everyone hates, NAZI, you've got nationalist, Zionist, right? And as much as some people can't get hold of that and want to call it NASWPTS, anything but NAZI. They want to try and make it mean anything else. Clearly, that's what it means. And to anyone with any sense of what's going on in the world, the true history of how we've ended up here, will come to that easily, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't know if any of you two agree that that's what it means, without a shadow of a doubt. But it
originally came from the what was the party in Germany, wasn't it?
Yeah, they only ever put in the Nationalist Party. So basically, over here we would say, oh, the Nazis were the BNP, right? But it still doesn't mean, obviously Nazi doesn't stand for what British Nationalist Party, right? Because the Nationalist Party are being led by the Zionists, not the other way around. It's not a joint venture where the nationalists know about it. Like the British nationalists, if you're born in Britain, you're probably, unless you've been brought up by certain families, you're probably going to be for looking after your country and your countrymen, right? As most people are in whichever country they are. So they've kind of given the game away now to what's going on, as far as I can see. And we can see exactly the same thing trying to happen in the UK as what happened in Germany. They're now trying to get everybody over to the nationalist side of things, and they're going to be ruled again by the Zionists, which is obviously, or whether you want to call them elite, because of course if you use the word Zionist, they've already put that in the dictionary to mean it's a Jew who wants a land of their own. Whereas Zionists hide in all religions, they hide in all cultures. That's what they do best. They're actors. That's why everything's a stage, politics. You know, they're all actors. Everything on your TV is actors, whether it's a newsreader, whether it's a politician. You know, they're all acting. They're all just playing their part, doing their lines, going on, getting paid. Thank you very much. So Tommy Robinson's come from the Nationalist Party, and as we can see now, as his fall comes, you know, nobody needs to knock him anymore. They're knocking him himself now. The Zions are knocking him. Yeah, they're going right. Yeah, they're all changing their routine, going, oh yeah, I was all for him, but now I'm going to out him before he completely crumbles. So it looks like, hey, I told you so, right? And all the people go, oh yeah, you told us first. Well, even though they were hooraying him and getting everyone to fund him, right? So that's really where we're at now, where they're trying to really, and as you see, you'll see all these new characters coming into play on YouTube, Facebook, with these big voices like Tommy Robinson. But now they're going, Tommy's bad. No, we just hate, we're scared Britain's going to be non-white in 100 years. Yeah, that's their whole thing. It's back to about the colour of his skin, right? And they're trying to make, of course, give immigration the label of where the problem is. And then we've got Paul Golding coming back. All of a sudden, he's jumped back in, and there's a new Manchester story, which is exactly the same as the Rotherham story, even down to the police saying they were, we're too scared to be called racist. But they'll pull people over in their cars, left, right, and centre, pick them up for drugs, left, right, and centre. They're not scared to get called racist, and people suck this up. They believe, they go, that's why they didn't arrest them for 30 years or whatever. Yeah, they don't. Nobody ever asks questions. Who's the top dog? Who was running that grooming gang, right? And some of these grooming gangs, the press don't give a shit. They can put another 10 blokes, 50 blokes, or whatever in to replace them. Yeah, so it's the people who are hiring these are bringing them out of jails, you know, from whatever gutter they find them. They don't just hire Pakistanis. They don't just hire Russians. They don't just hire. They hire anyone that will take the bidding and do the work for them. And then when they want to, they'll just either out real ones, or they'll just put it in their press that they would act to cause political, you know, again, cause division, have this political agenda, which is now, again, what we saw with the Jews. But all these people that claim they're all for the Jews, and I'm the anti-Semitic for daring to say Zionist, right? Seem to forget what happened in Germany. Yeah, exactly the same thing, but it was against Jews, and now they're trying to do the same thing against the Muslims. So if you look at it, the Zions cannot be Jews if they rounded Jews up for Israel, can they? How can they possibly be Jews if they were rounding them all up from Europe to send them to Israel, right? They're not their friends. Yeah. And it's all just a big game, and you know, we've been fool enough to go along with it for 300 so years or however long, and it seems to repeat itself in history. The situation, we seem to keep doing the same shit throughout history, right? And we get to this end of time. It's really the end of an era, isn't it? Where this is how we used to live. Now this is how we're going to live, and it's going to play out one way or the other. Whether we've got, you know, maybe it's 500 million people left, or whether we've battled it and gone, right, we've put the animals in the zoos and released the creatures, right?
So, as far as you're concerned, if the rise of, because my question were going to be, do you think that Tommy Robinson and what you'd call the right, I won't call him the far right, because I just don't think the right, we'll just call it, just that's what people can understand. But the right, do you think, I was going to say, do you think they were opportunistic in jumping on this whole Asian gangs raping, or do you think that was placed there for them, and then people like Tommy Robinson were told, go and look at this, go and make this a big problem, you know?
The thing is, it would definitely have been placed there, yeah, because they brought him up a certain way, and then and the press, you know, if anyone believes anything in mainstream media press, you know, you can't. The problem with Tommy Robinson's crews and the people who pick up and believe that story is they're always the people who will say mainstream media's lies, but then they'll cherry pick the stories they want to be true, right? And it's like, well, so when it's a Muslim headline, that's true, but all the rest of the mainstream's a lie. Is that what you're saying? You know, make your mind up. Is mainstream a lie or is it true? So, you know, that and Politrix is run off the media. Yeah, the media is Politrix's biggest marketing tool, right? So anytime they want us to feel in any fucking way possible, excuse my French, they're going to do it, right? If you look at the feminist movement, look at, you know, the mind control under the feminist movement, and that was to get our children into school at the earliest age to indoctrinate, right? Which is now 2 years old, as we see. Women now are more career focused than having the baby at their teat, right? Making sure it's getting all the nutrients, and, you know, father and mother teaching it. They just send them to school, come home tired, send them to bed. The schooling does all the pretty much 99.9% of what that kid's going to grow up and believe, do, whatever, right? And that was the major part of the feminist movement. Obviously to get the women taxed as well, and probably stop them from sitting at home doing what we've all done, educated ourselves to figure out how the system really works. And, you know, so there's a lot of time, you know, but with every story, there's usually an agenda. It doesn't matter how small or, you know, how inferior you might think that story will be. There'll be some kind of agenda, or there'll be some kind of code. Those, you know, everything that's written, like James, one of the James Bond movies says, I'll write the press today. I'll write the stories today for, you know, 2 weeks ahead, 5 weeks ahead, or however long ahead they want. And that's what they do, right? They bring in the story and it's for an agenda, and they're only going to tell us what they want us to know. They're never going to tell us anything that they, you know, we're never going to know anything that they don't want us to know.
Well, I just, when you mentioned women starting to go to work so that they weren't sitting at home, and, you know, they'd be in the tax, and then I don't know whether they'd be in the unemployment figures if they were housewives or not. I don't know. It depends. I suppose they wouldn't be claiming benefits, because if their husband were working, because back then that's what it were. You could have a house, you know, you rent your house off a council. Now, I heard something crazy, that the reason why they got women into work is because they wanted, when Thatcher decided to do all the sell-offs, the council a right to buy thing, and everybody then started buying their own house, and then up popped all these places which were DIY places, because people wanted to do stuff to their own house, and they wanted the women to fill those. That's what I'm not giving any strength to that, but I just thought it was quite an interesting story. But I suppose you could. There's many reasons to get women into work.
Yeah, there's always going to be, you know, obviously it's the breakdown the family unit. That's a major one, but the biggest reason was to get our kids into school at 2 years old, because then already you're taking away that bond from the mother, aren't you, too early? So you're breaking the bonds, and as we see, our parents' bond is nothing like it probably was 203. Well, probably before 1666, but certainly over the course of my generation, I've noticed how the bond of the family unit now is starting to completely, you know, break down. There's not that cemented sticking up for your family type thing anymore. There's, you know, not in everyone's, obviously. I know a lot of families out there will be saying, look, that's wrong. But, you know, we look around, right, and we can see kids on the street now. Homelessness is like every town. I don't care what town you live in. You're probably walking past it when you go to town every day. Even if you're just walking down your side streets, you're probably seeing people homeless, right? And they're getting younger and younger. Once upon a time, you see the old man, right? Now it's young girls on the street of 18, 17, 16, more and more in each town. Whereas before they'd only go to London. Like the youngsters would run off to London, wouldn't they? Yeah. Now it's every town's got their big problem, and nobody's bothering to understand why it's happening. And as we see, like I done a video where the police broke into my house, and they allowed a locksmith because it was over meters, and I just refused. I refused to take that that corporation name. I refused to, accept it as mine. So therefore, it's not me. And I refuse to just keep paying the gas and the electric that the British government, whoever, the bankers sold off, telling us that, oh, now there's going to be a load of different companies, so gas, electric will get cheaper. And now it's gone up like beyond, like it's now another like bill that you got to worry about. And when I was 16, I think 17, I moved out of house when I was like 16. But I always remember, like, the gas, electric, it wasn't one of them things that you had to think about paying. You always had that little bit of change. Do you know what I mean?
It would just one of them things. Yeah, it was just like a bill behind on the mantelpiece, and it got paid. Ended up getting paid.
And gas and electric has turned into the equivalent of probably pretty much a car loan or mortgage back in the day, right? If you see a mortgage is just beyond like anyone's, anyone coming out of school, college now. They've got a university loan that's the equivalent of pretty much a mortgage back in when I left school. So now they're walking out with this debt that's the equivalent to a loan before they've even thought about buying a car, a house. And it just, if people can't start to understand what's going on in the world and keep voting for it, keep consenting to it, keep accepting it, then it's going to be their own stupid downfall, because the end is coming. And I'll tell you something else. What I was telling you before we come on in, let me just get that out before I forget. Right, so there's a book, right? Somebody, and believe me, right, the guy who sent me this, I was explaining to him, he's an older boy. He's a personal friend of mine, right? And he's got no interest in anything I say. Like, he listens. He's not one of these people who just, but he understands that probably what I'm saying is true. And he's heard a fair bit from me, but he's kind of lived his life. I think he's in retirement. He's like, look, don't bother me with that shit. I don't care whatever they do. I'm doing my bit. It doesn't bother me. But he said,
yeah.
And it's a book from Dean Koontz, right? And it's
Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz, please. Koontz,
yeah.
Yeah, Koontz, right?
Yes, two Koontz.
He's a best-selling author of the New York Times. Okay, and he wrote this book in 1981. And he does fiction, right? But he's New York. Remember, he's New York Times. So if he's a reporter for the New York Times back in 81, he's probably part of the whole thing. Yeah, he knows everything he was writing was a lie. And he writes in this book, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes, and resisting all known treatments. Almost
right.
It's baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappear completely. Right? This is still a part of that same book. And he's surrounded LICHER in here. So I'm not sure, I haven't checked that out. I didn't even notice that, but I'll check what that means. There's probably a reason. They call the stuff Wuhan 400, right? Because it was developed in their RDNA labs outside of the city of Wuhan. And it was the 400th viable strain of man-made microorganisms created for Wuhan 400. So this is coming from, right? The end.
Yeah, someone sent me that other day.
Yeah, The Eyes of Darkness by that Kuntz or whatever his name is, written in 1981. Now, is that just coincidental or?
They're all coincidences. Come on. They're all coincidences. Come on. How many times have a coincidence happened? So it must be a coincidence that there's so many coincidences.
Yeah, just everything's
Coincidental times.
The coincidence, yeah. It's just, yeah, I agree, man. It's, it's madness, isn't it? But you can see where we're going. So when you look at people like Tommy Robinson, you can see there's a lot more of them out there. Tommy's been obviously given mainstream media attention massively throughout the years of his rise. So he's been he's been taken from the BNP. Whether he's got a more heavy bloodline, I don't know. I don't think he has personally, because I know that he went to school, normal school here. He was a bully to girls. I know.
Mark,
I know.
did you go to the same school at the same time, or?
No. He's a bit younger than me, but I know people who, like, when I used to have Facebook and I started off doing the, screaming out, "What the hell's this guy?" And that was when the EDL really started. But I knew, I was a bit more street then. I was a bit younger, so I knew a lot of people, and especially in Luton, so that I knew people that knew him and knew what he'd done, what his sunbed shop was, a front for the old snort, all of that. And we knew that he was just a nasty piece of shit. And then what he was saying and that about Luton was just bullshit, trying to act like all Lutonians feel like he does. And it was just grinding me. And I was like, wow, if somebody else, I guess it's up to a Lutonian to out a Lutonian, or no one else will listen. And I expected more Lutonians to hopefully do it, but that's how naive I was back in the day, right? But again,
that's
you start to realize, well, people don't give a shit. Once they've, if they've got that, if they've, as you see with all my videos, yeah, have a look at whoever I'm outing. You always get the hate, right? People aren't, "Oh, thanks for letting us know." Shit, I'll keep an eye on him. Like, if anyone tells me about a shill, yeah, I don't care how much I love them. First of all, I'm not going to take a word for it. I'm going to go and figure it out. Right, what do you know? Ask them, why do you say that? If they can't come up with anything, then sorry. But, when you can come up with a million things and they're still shouting and there's something probably more, of a reason why they're doing that sort of shit, right? They're probably more involved. It's more about themselves. They're probably guilty of something, and now they've got this crowd that are all guilty of the same thing. They don't want anyone to break that little crowd up, do they? Because now they can go around with a bunch of scumbags that love what they do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Adie.
I'm just going to say, just going back, because we've talked a bit about the future, but when I was saying that this news reporter worked out that, because originally when he said to the people at the court, what connected all these men, nobody wanted to say anything. And he went, well, hang on a minute, they're all Pakistani Muslim men. What the fuck's going on here? And then started to get really into it. So he said he did it for 5 years. So that's going to be, I don't know, 2014, 2015, I guess. At what point did Tommy Robinson either jump on that bandwagon, or did he decide it was going to be what he was doing, or was it what he was doing from the beginning? Did he sort of rise up with that subject?
I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, he started off obviously with the media, because since 2003, right? That's when, was it 2003? Fucking hell, that's how bad I am. 9/11, right? It's 2001.
2001.
Yeah. Sorry. So 9/11, 2001, and then I think, was it 2007 was the bombing of the train station, right? Was it a bus or the train station? 7/7.
Oh, 7/7, you mean?
Yeah, that was 2007, was it?
2005.
Fucking hell.
You're much older than you think.
So
you should remember not to come into the Dragon's Den without your numbers right.
I'm so bad at the numbers. Like, I keep saying, like, the 1937, or I believed it was a 38 Cancer Act, and then I'm looking, I'm going, what is 39? I never remember it being 39.
Yeah, 39, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they got a 37 in America. America's got the 1937, but I was sure it's 38 or something. And I used to always say it wrong. I've been saying it wrong for years, and then I looked at it and I went 30 fucking 9. What? I don't ever remember it fucking 39.
I'm going to out Mark. He's clearly a shill. He got a year wrong.
Yeah. And that's the problem, isn't it? Once you get anything like this,
Yeah,
you can be so meticulous because people all of a sudden try to act smart by going, actually, it was 1930, and it's like, yeah, okay, so I got a year, somewhere around then, anyway.
yeah.
Like I can't even like the year our queen come in, our new royal family, the imports, was the early 18th century, and I think it was 1706. But I know Charles II only lasted a year on the throne, and then they had no royal family for 50 something years, right? And Charles I, of course, had put in the 1627 right. What was it? 1627 Petition of Right, which basically said you can't tax man, and then you got 1666 Sescovy Act straight after, not long after the death of Charles II, who only lasted 1 year after his father died, right?
And the Great Fire of London.
And the Great Fire of London and the plague. Yeah, you can start to put things 2 and 2 together quite simply, can't you? And go, fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's scary, I think I find it all. I think anyone's going to be, and that's why people don't want to look at it, innit? Because they get so scared. They're like, shit. But yeah, going back, I mean, Tommy Robinson obviously set the EDL up from the BNP. So I think they were going to let the BNP take this, right? But then they decided that actually we don't want to make the Nationalist Party sound like it's just, this will instantly out it as racist to anyone who's not going to follow that hate of Pakistanis. And we go back to the 70s, don't we? And there's still plenty of people out there who are fucking Pakis and all this and use it.
I can remember when I was born in Scunthorpe, and when you go down, I guess the Frodingham Road area of Scunthorpe, it was, well, when I was a kid, in our naivety, we were told it was called Pakiland because that's where all the Pakistanis had just moved into. And we were, oh, okay. If you go down there today, it's full of Polish shops.
Yeah. I think Paki would have started off in England probably just as a like you might say, oh, that's a Poles area, or
Well,
exactly.
to me, the word Paki was never an insult.
And Pakis called themselves Pakis. It's like niggers called themselves niggers, kind of, yeah. But
for me, it was just the first 4 letters of where you're from. So I would be
I remember when I was a kid, we used to say Blackistani, so we had no idea whatsoever about fucking anything apart from that, a Blackistani.
Yeah, I think, and to be fair, I think wherever you go in the world, if you're not from there and you become a congregation where you're like, so if I went and if I go to say, if you go to, where was it? I'd come back from Cyprus, right? If you go to Cyprus, yeah, and you go to the part of Cyprus that's mainly English colonized, right? Probably all the Cypriots have a name for us, right? Whatever it is, they've probably got a name for us.
Oh, we've lost him.
Oh,
he's back. Hang on. We lost you there a bit, Shill.
I lost you two. You two went off sort of funny. I don't know.
No, don't worry about it. Crack on. You're all right. We're back now.
But yeah, I think wherever you go, that you're always going to have that kind of, where they're going to call that little club over there something, and probably based around. But it's when you start to take it to the proportions, and it's usually press, of course, that pushes it through these rights and lefts. Through politricks, through all the things you shouldn't be a part of the cult of, right? Because all of it's a cult, whether you're right, you're left, whether you're red, you're blue, even the flag's a cult, it's all part of this cult that people don't believe they're in and will never see it, but they definitely are, right? I say to people, like with flags, you're more likely to go and kill a good man and save a bad man than you are the opposite way over a flag, yeah, because you're just going to go across somewhere, and because based on a belief that it's for your country, you're just going to kill people and not even, and you'll probably stand next to a complete scumbag doing it, and maybe even save his life doing it, right? Based on him just having the right flag and the other guy having the wrong flag. And it's like, wow, it's a mental asylum. The whole system's a mental asylum, and we are the mental patients, unfortunately.
Well, if you went to a battlefield and just went, well, hang on, guys, just stop a minute. Just so I'm clear, who are the good guys and who are the bad guys? Neither side's going to say, oh, we're the bad guys.
No, they're just going to put a fucking arrow through your head, you dickhead.
Exactly. That's why I don't think people can understand the story of like World War II when the Germans and the British on Christmas Day played football and that. And it was that whole, look, I don't want to be fighting on Christmas fucking Day, and nor do I. And I think they, and they realise, hey, we're just men. And then they go back and then they go and fight for a belief in a flag, right? Because that's really what they're doing. And it's because of that. And look at us, we brought out of school all singing Queen songs and Royal Britannia and blah, blah, blah. And we believe that, oh, right, these little islands are home, right? Whereas, is it really? Is not the world our home? And these people now, the nationalist parties, saying basically, we're now going to tell people who, they can't travel, they can't decide. If I come across a beautiful piece of land, Jay, in the world, and it's like, wow, and this perfect climate for me, I love it. Why shouldn't I have the right to say, well, nobody else is taking this land? I'd like to just set up a little thing here, if that's all right. Maybe spend 2 years here, maybe spend 5. Who knows? Maybe I'll die here. Who cares? Right? But as long as you've got these people who believe in all these borders or believe in all the illusions that they've put up in front of us, and you've got to start looking at it as everything's an illusion. Nothing's real. Borders aren't real. Flags aren't real. This is all make-believe, fairy tale, Disney World shit, right? And we've all sucked it all in, and just we've gone so far away from being a man, a woman, just by picking up each and every single little label that we do, whether it's I'm British, whether it's I'm, a religion, I'm black, white, blue, and all these, every single one of those little labels that you're picking up as you go along is just chaining you further down and making you, so you'll never become spiritual. You'll never really understand why you was here. You'll never understand what mankind's really about. There'll be, and it's a shame. And I think that's why I get frustrated so much, and why I started doing videos, why I started doing anything at all, was the frustration of just going, look, it's really not that hard, people.
Yeah. It ain't that hard. It ain't that hard. Listen, everybody who's listening, if you've just joined us or watching us even in colour with green screens and all sorts of stuff, you're listening to Raconteurs News on this Monday night. Our guest is Shill Destroyer, a.k.a. Mark. We'll just call him that for now, I think. Adie's with me, of course. Don't forget, I've not even told you yet, but tomorrow night, Owen Lloyd Martin's going to be on. We're going to be chatting with Owen Lloyd Martin. We're going to be talking about, I think one of the things I want to talk to you about is his coping mechanisms, when he's out there in Portugal and he gets quite lonely. But we'll talk about one or two things with Owen Lloyd Martin. That's going to be tomorrow night. So, chuffing, you got a bit wheezy then for no chuffing reason. I think I'm getting out of breath because I'm not doing enough running. Yeah. Anyway, somebody wanted to know. Someone in the chat room wanted to know about Nick Griffin. What's happened to him? Where is he? What's he doing? And what's your take on him?
Well, I think like the BNP kind of sunk, didn't it, down to nothing.
Yeah.
And I think he's just gone his own way now. I don't know. I haven't really looked into Nick Griffin for a long time. So whether or not he'll come back, or whether they've got this Mark Collett, who was the youth leader of the BNP, haven't they? That's just suddenly appeared. And I've been in this game for too many years, and I'd never come across this guy's name, and all of a sudden he comes up and he's got 95,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm going, what? And it was only when I see that he was having a conversation with that Gotthard, you know what I mean? They were, and it was all like all the right were all going, yeah, there's going to be this. So all the right were coming to watch this conversation, and then you saw that it was like, oh, Mark Collett's against Tommy Robinson and Goddard, but Goddard's like so nice to Mark Collett and like, oh yeah, agreeing with everything he says, and you could just see the game they were playing, right? And that's what they do. They always play the Punch and Judy show. Like they control Punch and they control Judy, and they do it in every. And people are always going to want a leader. Yeah, they always want somebody that they can, hail. Yeah, you're going to save us, and they'll never understand that the only people that are going to save them is themselves.
Yeah. I just want to get this in. Adie, just before, because while we're still on BNP and Nick Griffin, I watched a video once a few years ago. It must have been, I think it was one night after I'd been in strip club. So remember when that were, Adie? So that'd be like 20. Can
you just tell everybody that you weren't there for a quick bash? That
no,
working in the strip club.
Dancing.
You what?
I was there dancing. I were a dancer. I were the alternative dancer.
No, you weren't just sat in the corner cracking one off. You were actually working.
No, I weren't sat in corner playing with my pole. I was on the pole.
Okay.
Whenever I could be. But anyway, I watched a BNP video, and it was somebody had took it at a BNP meeting. Now, one of the things that struck me was they were bringing up all the things that we were talking about around about that time. The money, the money system, and how it was created, and talking about fractional reserve banking and all this sort of stuff, So, and if anybody wants to have a go at me for watching a BNP, I have to watch both sides. I'm a reporter. I'm a journalist, a real journalist. So, yes, I did watch it. So, do you think that they were destroyed because of the fascist or whatever what people perceived of them, or because they weren't banned at one point? I think they were banned, weren't they?
I think what they've done, Jason, is the BNP really just all of them were led to Tommy. Right, follow him for now. We'll just sit in the background. We'll sort of go under, and then we'll reunite at the other end of Tommy, right? As Tommy goes down, we'll now bring back the nationalists. We'll give all these Tommy fans a place to go, right?
So Nick Griffin were like the opening act.
He might do. Yeah, he might do. It's all, you know what they do. First of all, they put the messages out there. They look for our reaction, right? And then they'll play based on our reaction, whichever one they've got set up, right? They'll already have probably every reaction we can possibly do to the news they give us. So they've already got their setups, right? If this reaction goes, we're sending him. It's probably based like that, but it's just I think the whole point is people have got to stop participating in it, stop funding it. Stop sending their kids to school to be indoctrinated, start going back to wanting less of the shit that they're given, like all this technology bollocks, the latest car, and all that bullshit, and start to try to get back to nature as quickly as they can, and start to, and it's
not very easy, is it? We've got addictive technology. Dennis put a question in the chat room saying, "Is the BNP still going, Aid?"
I've just written that down. I was going to bring that one up as well. Yeah,
is that he thought that you were the best person to ask? So what, Aid? BNP still going?
Listen, what I know about the bit. Listen, just to be perfectly clear, politics and political parties of any description only exist between your ears. It is not real. So when we're talking about political parties, I'm not talking about my views. I'm talking about the different views that different people have who end up coming to the fore and trying to get people to follow them. like Nick Griffin. My easy answer to is BMP still going? I ain't got a fucking clue. I guess so.
Mark, do you know?
I think from what I only looked a little while ago, and they were kind of retired, because I think the one after Nick Griffin was some geezer who'd chase some kids over, like 2 10-year-old kids on BMXs. I think he's an ex-policeman or something. I can't remember. Like, don't quote me on that bit. But he chased 2 little kids in his Land Rover, like fucking scared the shit out of them. I think he punctured their tires, done some real nasty shit, and I think he had a gun or something. That's something like that. Go and have a look at the story. You know, it's hard when you have so many different things you look at. You forget some of the other bits. So there's a story with the last leader of the BMP. Yeah. It's not a very good one. So he's gone down. So the BMP's kind of gone. They just haven't given it a leader. It's just sat there with nothing. You know. So you could say it's gone down. But whether it's come back up with Mark Collette yet, I haven't really checked. Well, that would be my guess. Who's going to revive it? Or you know, he's been.
Do you remember when they had Nick Griffin on Question Time a few years ago? No.
What?
Do you remember when they had Nick Griffin on Question Time?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Go on.
Right. Well, when I used to sell loudspeakers, etc., to anybody who'd buy them. No, anything from going into Weatherspoons right up to putting U2 on tour. One of the really nice guys that I dealt with lived in Luton, and one of the contracts that he had, he did the sound in the studio, or, well, I say studio, it's often a town hall, when they travel with Question Time. So if Question Time was going to be in Glasgow, he'd be in his van with his speakers and his microphones and da-da-da-da-da, and he would actually do the sound in the room. The sound that the BBC took down a mixing desk to put out down a TV channel was obviously different. So you got 2 lots of sound equipment in the same room. One doing the job actually in the room, the other one doing the job for the TV. And I remember speaking to him, you know, the night when they got Nick Griffin on Question Time. And it was all over the press, and it was going to be this, and it was going to be that, and what was he going to say, and was he going to be controversial? They got police there ready to arrest him, and all the rest of it. And I remember sending my mate a text and saying, you know, what was going on? And it was all recorded the night before. So when you actually looked at the BBC, it was as if it was going to be live tonight, and we're not sure what Nick Griffin's going to say. The whole fucking thing was already canned and edited and ready to put out as if it was going to be live. And it wasn't even fucking live.
Yeah, which just proves to you that they're all actors. They've already got their lines.
Yeah, exactly. And that was well before Jason had given me the kick up the arse to think like I do. I knew nothing then. Nothing at all. I just thought the world was rosy and political parties were real and the Queen really was. And, you know, I still thought all that shit then. So, yeah.
You still thought the Earth were round then, didn't you?
Yeah. I've got a couple of other notes that I've written down here, but I want to really get Mark back to young Mr. Tommy Robinson, because the stuff that you definitely know living in Luton that we don't, and that's what I want to get out of you, because I believe that when all the BMP stuff kind of fell apart, because you're right, they put Nick Griffin on telly and then they realised he was actually even more of a dickhead than he looked. And all that kind of fell apart. So they needed somebody else. And certainly I'd not heard of Tommy Robinson's name or whatever his real name is until well after Nick Griffin had kind of left the scene. But Mark, you probably had. You were probably well aware of Tommy Robinson while Nick Griffin and that was still headline name, if you like.
I don't know that I did. I didn't know. It wasn't like I'd really known of Tommy Robinson at that point. It was I'd seen him, like, you know, you'd seen him, like, I'd done a party in Luton. I was at a party and he was there. There's like a big, you know, a big party, but I didn't know him. But as soon as you start to get the mainstream media press, of course, then people you know who did know him start to say, "Oh yeah, I went to school." So then you start to get more and more information, right? And I'm, you know, I've got friends from all religions in Luton, pretty much all ethnicities, right? So I'm not one of these who aren't getting different versions of same events type of thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where some people, yeah, he's all right because they get their gear from him, right? Or whereas a Muslim guy, again, you know, I don't think Tommy's personally racist. Funny enough, not in the way that that most people would assume he is. He certainly, you know, he's racist as in the way of a Zionist is, where they hate everybody and it's all about them. And that's just obviously a very, very minuscule amount of the world. But they hate everyone. You know, it doesn't matter. Look what they've done to the Germans, right? But so to me, it's but in Luton, you know for a fact what his sunbed shop was. Everyone in Luton knows that, right? That's a common, like, if you come to Luton and spoke to 5 people, and you can find somebody, you know, out of those 5 people, especially if they're Lutonians since birth, they're going to know what Tommy Robinson's sunbed shop was all about, right?
Go on then, tell us what it was. Go on.
But it was a front for the old snort, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I know people who know his ex-partner still and all that, yeah. So it's not, it's not something that's, again, you can say everything's hearsay, can't you? But whether or not you want to get the hearsay from the newspapers, you want to get the hearsay from somebody in Australia, or you want to get the hearsay from the town that, you know, the guy's from, it's which one you think's more likable, or which one's more reasonable. But in fairness, now it doesn't matter, because Tommy's own crew now is, you know, they're literally putting him down to ensure they don't discredit themselves. So they're doing the work now. He's a done and dusted one. Now it'll be, you know, well, for me, I'm getting the fuck out. I'm not going to sit here like trying to do all their new infiltrators now. If people ain't worked it out for themselves, like Tommy Robinson should be the person who exposes the whole system, because you can see with Lee McMillan, his ex right-hand man, right, who got arrested 2013 in September the 27th, and then Tommy exits the EDL 2 weeks later, just as they tell Lee McMillan, yeah, you're getting charged for the crime. And then in February 2014, he gets 17 years for child abuse on a 10-year-old little girl that he'd drugged, given cigarettes to, done all the things that they report the grooming gangs are doing, right? To a 10-year-old girl that went on for a year. There was another 14-year-old that was raped, I think. There was allegation, one that got dropped. But he got 17 years, right? And then the press changed the dates, and they say he got convicted 2016 rather than 2014, yet they say they published it in 2018 rather than 2014. So first of all, you got to say, well, why are the press running this story in 2018 if it happened in 2016, like they say in the report it does, right? So you should expose how the press, the government, because the MEF funded his Go Free Tommy campaign, and the MEF Middle East Forum, it links directly to the USA and the UK government. So straight away, he should be the person right now that's absolutely blowing the system out of the water and making everyone go, wow, Tommy is the key to breaking down the whole of the system in reality, because through him you can see he worked, the government worked with him, he worked for the government, yeah. The press worked for him, he worked for the press, yeah. And all these people, the press don't like him. What? You know, they're giving him major headlines constantly, right? it's beyond me how people can't start to see through all this bullshit now and go, fucking hell, actually everything is literally a lie. Like everything in the system's corrupt, isn't it? And a fraud.
So when he went to prison, do you think that was the establishment saying, listen, you might think you're in charge, you gobby little shit, but we are? Or do you think that he was sent to prison just to make sure that they could send, oh God, what's the ex-EastEnders dickhead that does the...
Yeah. Oh, Grant Mitchell.
Grant, I can't remember his fucking name.
You got to remember, you're believing, like, again, where do you hear he went to prison, right? You say, well, the newspaper. So the mainstream media, again, you believe in the story, right? And you go, well, the Crown Prosecution Service, who owns the Crown Prosecution Service, right? The Royals, right? Who owns the media, all that? It's all the same people, right? So you've got an actor who's playing a part who you think's gone to prison. He come out when he done that longer term. He come out with a nice suntan and £30,000 worth of veneers. Yeah, and that wasn't a guess, or that was a fact. He walked out. He went in there. Go and have a look at. I put on some of my videos of him. I've purposely picked pictures that show his teeth, so you can see what they were like before, and you can see he's now got the £30,000 veneers in, right?
That's big pictures.
Yeah, it's like the false flags, right? It's like the false flag events. Like when he's getting, if you watch that closely, when he's getting arrested, it's all theatre. The police are actors. Yeah, he's not really getting arrested. Like you can see he's waiting. The whole point of him out there, you can see he's waiting for the moment for the police. It's all rehearsed. He's just an actor. That he never went to prison. They do the BBC show to convince you further that he's in prison, but mainly to give him more again mainstream media attention, right? Oh, what's his name? Grant Mitchell from EastEnders is coming back. Oh, I gotta watch that tonight. I don't know, Tommy. Oh, that poor Tommy Robinson's in that prison for what? Freedom of speech. He's like, what? He's like, come on, work it out.
Do you think he was? Do you think he started off like that, or do you think in the early days he was just like, no, I want to do this, I want to do that? I am going to do the BMP, not BMP.
There's going to be two reasons how Tommy Robinson got involved in this, right? A, he was born in Cyprus, right? His mum's from Ireland and his stepdad's from Ireland, right? But we don't know who his dad is. So being Cyprus so close to Israel could be, who knows, right? So he could have already been being brought up to play this part, and it was, they run the drugs, so give him a job, as a top drug man. Yeah, or B, he entered the BMP and the MIGs, and the MIGs was Luton Town's like football hooligans, yeah, like Millwalls or whatever. So they were called the MIGs, Men in Gear, right? So he's joined the MIGs. He's joined the BMP. Now, he could have got involved into the drugs from there, but more than likely he's joined those two as a drug dealer, because both of those two types of groups are going to be great for customers, right? Especially if the snorty courty, right? Any type of drug, pretty much. Those two groups, you're going to get a lot of customers. But besides that, you're also going to get a lot of mates that will beat people up for nothing, right? They'll do nasty shit to people. So that's great for somebody who's dealing drugs as well, isn't it? To get into a gang, pay them some money to be your back, right? So it could be a couple of reasons, and then he's got offered this because the Zions can see, look, this guy's doing all that, and more than likely he's been arrested. He's got some big drug charge over him, and right, you do this for us, and we'll, work for us, or do 10 years or whatever, right? It could be a multitude of but probably the latter is, I would guess. Yeah. And I'll base that on him. I'd probably base that on Avi Yemeni doing a video to the Jews, telling everyone how Tommy Robinson went through the Zionist inauguration in Tel Aviv. which tells me he, in theory, if he brought up to be it, he would have probably already been that Zion inauguration when he was 4 years old or something, right?
Mm. Yeah, it's Did you know him by his real name then, or
No. I don't claim to know him. Like,
right.
you know, he wasn't my pal. I wasn't someone I hung around with. He's a few years younger than me. He went, you know, I know people he went to school with. That I know people that know him that have no reason. You know, it's not like they knew that I was a Tommy when they're telling me the shit that they knew about him, right? I know people who still know, like I say. So again, it's everything you say. I mean, but whatever you say is really hearsay.
Yeah.
Unless you're there, right? But it's whether or not you're going to take the hearsay from, you know, the press. You're going to take it from some far right who lives in Scotland, or you're going to take it from me, right? But that's your choice. But I think clear as day now. You know, I've been saying it since the beginning of the EDL, and finally, it looks like he's getting to a place where he's going down, but he can't get back up. And when people you say to me, "Oh, he's done for in 2013 and 2015," and I'll say, "No, you know, he's not. He's down, but you fucking don't let him get back up." And sure enough, he fucking rose. And they'd say, "Oh, he doesn't matter. He's not important." Yes, he fucking is important.
So when he kind of goes down, do you think there'll be this huge thing of, oh, he's gone down, you know, nobody's going to hear from him again, or do you think he'll just quietly disappear into the sunset?
I think he's already quietly disappearing. You know, again, it depends on how deep he is in, or how much because more than likely they're going to dump him. If he's not really one of them, even if he went for an inauguration, they'll probably just dump him, right? They'll leave him to squalor.
Well, like as an example, if you look at Epstein, he got fucking dumped. But what's her name? Thingy Maxwell. You know, she's been well looked after, isn't she? So it depends how far up the ladder you are, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. Like Epstein's, if he was truly a billionaire and he wasn't just most of his assets were owned by the Rothschilds, and he was giving the impression he was a billionaire, and he was a true one, then clear enough, he ain't going down for shit. You know, he's going to quickly go through the court cases, make the people the families who believe that he's now dead, and then they're going to, off you go. You know, and that, with facial recognition, he's probably still back in his own home. You know what I mean? As a new owner. Fucking, they've probably done some facial shit to him, changed his whole, so you wouldn't even recognise him now. Or he's in Tel Aviv, of course. But I mean, with someone like Tommy Robinson, more than likely he's just bought into the whole, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to have fame, fortune, and this is all I care about. And now I'm not going to get done for dealing drugs anymore. And now he's fallen because of his drug habit. Probably he's given himself away too often now. That they'll probably they might take him out themselves. You know, that's, you know, if he becomes too much where he could start giving the game away and explaining, look, I work for the government. So it's no wonder these guys always become paranoid, because they're not really paranoid about everyone finding them out. They're more paranoid about the people who are employing them, you know, when they're going to decide, actually, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, and when you've got the BBC, which is basically the government's mouthpiece, doing the government's bidding, and nothing more ever. And then you've got people saying, oh, well, you know, if we don't have to pay for our telly license anymore, we shouldn't be having to do that. Well, you haven't anyway, but, well, yeah, there's a few people now not paying telly license because they think it's not fair. So now they're doing all this stuff about, oh, well, shall we scrap the TV license? And all they're doing, they're fishing for what the public will put up with, knowing damn well that the BBC's got, is it another 6 years or whatever left on the charter?
Yeah.
So all they're doing, they're just fishing for what, how much more shit will all of us fucking idiots put up with?
Yeah, and when you think about it, right, they do shit like that just to maybe give people, like, as people are getting poorer and poorer, right, they go, oh, wouldn't it be great if they got rid of that TV license? I wouldn't have to pay that £13 a month anymore. That'd be good. I could, and they're all happy, right? And then they love that person because they're suggesting it. Oh, look, Boris Johnson suggesting that. I knew he was going to be great. Oh, I knew he was going to be great. That one. It's like fucking honestly. It's like it's honestly like, as I always say, right? That's the biggest thing I probably say in any of my videos. It's children in adults' bodies is the world we're living in because we haven't been educated, you know, and we've all been guilty of it. We all probably still are guilty of it to an extreme, but it's such an extreme where you can't, you know, you know what it's like trying to have an adult conversation with an adult today about what's going on in the real world, right? You get the child come back, you get the screams, you get like the petulant, and with what I do, of course, when I'm out in everybody, everybody ends up hating me because pretty much 90% of the people out on YouTube, on Facebook are working for the elites, you know, and so you end up out in the mall and people hate, you know, everyone's got their teddy bear. Every child's got their teddy bear. They don't want to let go of them. So I'm the one who gets hated for outing them, which is you kind of become, it doesn't hit you as hard as it might, you know. You see a lot of people getting really wound up in comments because you've done this for 10 years with Tommy Robinson's crew, right? So you got quite armored to the shit they call you and the shit they say, but it amazes me, and you kind of like think, fuck, are these people worth it? Are they worth saving? Maybe they're fucking elite and got a fucking, maybe they're going, fuck, you know, this Mark's trying to save them, but he don't realise they're fucking all nuts, mate.
No, we're doing it for the children.
We're doing it, yeah, exactly. I know. Well, we're doing it for the children. I kind of think we are. You know, I kind of feel that even the elite themselves, you know, even the ones right at the top are victims. You know, because when you think about it, they've been indoctrinated harsh to do this shit since. And I know, you know, they come across as toffs and they don't give a shit, and they don't give a shit, but they've been pulled away further than anyone from spirituality, right? They've been like dragged from birth completely into the hands of the evil side, and so even they are. And when you hear things like, you know me, I'm not religious, right? So I don't want people to start giving me labels and shit for what I say. But when you hear things like God says forgive all, yeah. And I kind of figure that maybe he's saying, look, the only way you've got to realise everybody's a victim to this shit. So you can't, you know, although you can't, it's, you know, I know it's fucking hard. You can't like, but hopefully you can help, right? I don't know. But
yeah, it's like you don't want to go up to somebody and say, look, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, when you look at the shit that people have done, and, you know, you just look at, even though I say just, but when you see a paedophile is very fucking, I mean, I can't imagine that on the straight and narrow I'd ever forgive a paedophile, right? I think, fuck you, dirty motherfucker. But these fuckers have done fucking like disgusting. I mean, a paedophile is fucking disgusting, but these fuckers have done like 1,000 times more disgusting shit than that, right? If it's possible to do 1,000 times more shit than that. But they're still victims, you know, if they've been brought into the world with the right people that were going to teach them the good shit and take them down a good road, would they have ever done any of this shit, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, you know, I forgive them. Like, I kind of like feel like I should, if I was religious, I probably would.
Where does that stop, though? Where does that stop? Where's the point where you go, right? Because now you're talking about talking in terms of victims for the people that are right at the very top that are doing this stuff. I mean, I think
if say we had a switch tomorrow, Jason, right, where the whole world has suddenly gone, right, we're changing what we're doing here. We're not going to fucking be these murdering scumbag arsehole, you know, hating, because we kill the world. We never think about any other animal, yeah, because they can't speak. We just always think about ourselves, right? So maybe, you know, if humanity actually decided, let's turn this world into what, you know, rather than wait to die to go to heaven, why don't we live in heaven, yeah, and start to think about how we can make this place much more heavenly? Because we are pretty smart when we want to be, aren't we? But
yeah, but we're really good at killing people, aren't we? Really,
but the majority of people don't don't grow up wanting to kill people, right? They don't grow up wanting to fucking, like most people still don't, even though they eat meat, they don't want to actually kill the animal, right? And would find it hard to do so. So in our natural ability, yeah, we're really not as fucking bad. But when we're indoctrinated to believe that our whole life is about getting money and getting things with that money and bigger things and never being happy with what we've got, yeah, and just wanting more and more, and then you need the money. So even if you don't want all the things, you've still got to get a shitload of money just to survive and live, you know, just to survive in your. You just take man away from everything that becomes natural, and of course we could have a fucking beautiful place. We could share with the resources. We could lose the monetary system, and we could make it fucking amazing. But unfortunately, we use technology for weapons and spying and mind control. We don't use it for our gain, and that's why I think over the time, I reckon there's been a point in history, probably more than once, where they've completely just destroyed all technology because they've seen how it's ruined humanity. And maybe that's the sort of thing that happens. Maybe every 400 years, 500 years, we go through this time where we get to the point where we've got too smart for our own good, and we either get wiped out to an extent and rebuild, or we fight back and get rid of all our shit and start facing up to what we're doing and how we're doing it completely wrong. And when you look at how many people are religious in the world and believing in heaven and God, you think, is this really what you think God put you on here to do?
Well, more people go to IKEA on a Sunday apparently than go to any church.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing. But they'll all say they'll all pretend that they're religious, but none of them. Very rarely do I come across a religious person. Like I say, if I really believed that there was a hell and I was going to go to it through my religion, yeah, oh, you better be shit to shit. I'd be doing exactly what that fucking book said. Yeah, I fucking wouldn't be. As soon as I'd fucking slipped, I'd be like not sleeping at night for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah, but Mark, what you're forgetting is Jesus loves you.
Yeah, fucking hell. And in my opinion, if I believe, and I haven't said there's not a God, so I'm not taking anyone's God away from them. But of course, God's just a word, so whatever you want to call it. But if personally, I would call God grandma, because I reckon, first of all, there's probably got to be a female to have, if we're all their children, right? So it's probably got to be a female. Then if you look at like heaven and hell, maybe she decided the best company she could do was to give herself children, and that's what she done. So she made the ovaries and made herself a female, so she give herself children, and that's like the devil and the good one. And the devil's not really bad, but he's gonna fucking, if you're an arsehole, he's gonna make sure you get your fucking shit for being an arsehole, right? Because God, the grandma would never have the grandchild and go, you've got to go to the fire. So she's got to have her child, you know. But that's my own thinking, yeah. That's not from a book. And if you wrote that in a book, yeah, someone would turn it into a cult and everyone would be going fucking mental over it, saying this is true.
Do you think God, like, you know, he goes to like God meetings, you know, where all gods meet up? There's fucking hundreds or 3,000, I think. So he goes to like fucking God meeting, and they're all there, and they're all, oh, I ain't seen you for a minute, yeah, and then one going, what's the, and then he goes, what the fuck's that? And he said, that's fucking, that's so and so God. Hang on a minute, how come I ain't got fucking 2 wives? Why can't I have fucking 2 wives? Fucking hellfire! A fucking big wrong one, didn't I? And that's why now he's angry, and that's why he's doing this to us.
Have you noticed? They've all got 12 disciples. Apparently, I've not read it, but apparently in the Quran and one of the Jesus is in there. You know, and
yeah, Jesus is a prophet in the Quran.
Yeah. You know, and whatever anybody wants to be involved in believing or whatever is completely up to them. Maybe there's a God, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But let it be your God and not one that you fucking follow. You know, just got to be your God.
Yeah, sorry. I just saw the message about Tommy exposed grooming gangs.
I put that in the private thing, and I'm still lingering over it because I want Mark. Please read that out and then tell us what you think.
Yeah, well, but let's see, right? So they put Tommy exposed to grooming gangs in Rotherham, so the police didn't like him, and they ganged up on him. Tried to keep him quiet. This guy doesn't give Tommy any credit what he deserves. Right?
Well, let's just point out that it wasn't him that did the grooming gangs. It was among others, it was the reporter from the Times originally. But anyway, crack on.
Yeah, and also you're not exposing a grooming gang when you're reporting it against court rules early, are you? Because it's already been exposed, because that's why it's in court.
Yes, exactly. It was public. It was.
So nothing,
that information, wasn't it?
Tommy never exposed anything. So whoever said that, sorry, you're very wrong. Yeah, there was no exposing by Tommy on anything. Tommy was playing against, the press stories for his own agenda to keep his crew and build his crew. So you'd all point at Muslim Pakistanis as a problem, and you'd never look at the problem, and you'd only look at one part of the problem, which was paedophilia, and you'd only look at one minority, a very small minority of the country, to blame for all your other problems that are going on, right? Which exactly why I call them the lowest IQs, because that's exactly what they did, and are still doing, some of them, obviously. But yeah, he never exposed nothing. And if you can't see the game and you're still in that right left wing mentality, you're never going to grow up, and you're not going to save your family. You're not going to save yourself. You probably don't really care to. You want a gang. You like to go out on a Saturday down to Trafalgar Square, have a good few beers with lads, because you can't do that in a football gang anymore, right?
Yeah.
That. It's the only reason people will stay and defend that system now. I can't be more clear on. If people want to ignore that, then they're either working for the but even the elite are working against him now. So this guy's obviously just a confused guy.
To Mr. General Public, they would probably be of the opinion that because they don't read the Times, that it was Tommy Robinson that exposed this, and it was Tommy Robinson that exposed that and that. And if you said Pakistani grooming gang or whatever, and anything relating to that,
Muslim grooming gang,
most people immediately would go, Tommy Robinson. That name would be in there, and that's exactly what the system's designed to do.
Yeah.
So that it's not the system that's ever in question. It's not the principle that's ever in question. It's not how far they can push the agenda that's ever in question. It's one man that they can push forward, and once they've done with him, they throw him away and get the next one.
Yeah, and Tommy started, obviously, he would start with Quran verses and never give them any context, right? So that's really, he'd convince everybody that the Quran said something, right? So now you're using children, you're going on people's heartstrings, and not only is he saying it's children, now he's really going on the heartstrings of those people who are a little bit racist. They'd never call themselves racist because they got a mate called Abdul down the road, but now he's talking about white girls. It's not just children now. Oh, they're touching our white girls and white boys. It's the white British. So it's all about just little things like that and you start to build up that with those certain types of minds. You start to build up that anger, that hate. They're already, they're reading headlines and they're walking around, and they see a Muslim man with his child, and straight away they're looking at him like, I bet you he's abusing that child because his teachings and all that. And when they call them Muslims, if you really was, and I've done enough research on enough religions to know them enough to know what they're about, right? There's nothing in the Quran that says anything like Tommy Robinson says. certainly not without context. The things he puts, like you got to kill, you can kill the non-believers, right? He forgets to mention that it's during a time of war whilst you're being attacked, not even just during a time of war. You've got to be attacked before you're allowed to kill a non-believer, right? So it's a lot of it. So it's madness that people just, they listen to somebody, they think, oh, he's all right, yeah, I know, it's fucking those ones down my road, they got a nice Beamer than me, and there's always like 4 or 5 of them, and I'm always on my own when I walk past them, and I feel a little bit like tense when I walk past them. Yeah, it's their fault. You know what I mean? That's the sort of mentality that the people are, that these types of stories will hit, and all of a sudden they'll start buying into it, and they'll start hating more, and then of course they'll be introduced to the Coca-Cola on the Saturday down Trafalgar Square, and more aggressiveness will come out of her, more hate, and then they're in the cult, right? And then there's no getting them out. You know, but I think I've got enough, you know, I think I got enough out in my time to say, right, you know, but unfortunately there's more that I've sat and tried to get out that would ever want to listen, because again, it's that teddy bear, isn't it? Tommy's their teddy bear. Oh, you leave my teddy bear alone. Don't take him away. Yeah.
I want to pull from that a couple of things out of the chat room. Dave Stanley, most paedophiles are white. Well, they're probably not in Africa.
How does he know so much about paedophiles? That's what I want to know.
I think it's just a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing to say most paedophiles or anything, because if we knew what most paedophiles were, hopefully we'd have them all strung up and they'd all be fucking off our streets, right? But
yeah,
unfortunately, it's such a common occurrence now. I would never send my children to school just for that fact, right? They wouldn't be fucking hardly out my sight as they were children. But just for that fact would be enough for me not to send them to school. So you can do it for the safety of your kids if you're not going to do it for the welfare of their minds. But it's crazy for people to start pointing fingers at minorities, colours, races. You know, the fact is we've got a big problem because it's becoming normalized. We know where the stream of it starts at. We want to go for the smaller men first, and then pick the larger ones later. And you know, you're already planning to fail, aren't you, when you go that way into it? So as long as people want to not point at, you know, and keep voting in their governments, keep funding the people who are responsible for all of this, you know, you can't help them, can you? And you'll get a lot of arguments. You know, the smart people will tell you, "Oh, no vote is no say," and all that sort of shit. But good luck.
Oh, you know, I was gonna say a paedophile. You do a paedophile joke, but I don't think I'll do it. I don't think I'll do it. No. In fact, fuck it. I will.
One out the chat room as well.
The what? Sorry.
Just another one that I just want to pull out the chat room if I can.
Yeah, go on.
Just something I wrote down when you were talking about different religion. I wrote down King James Bible. I remember when they had all the Bibles in these schools were taken out and replaced by a King James Bible, and apparently schools in England, I don't know about Scotland, Wales, or Ireland or whatever, but apparently in England, the only Bible they can have is a King James Bible. And then Cake Hall put King James Version, translation possibly by Francis Bacon. Freemasons know the hidden truth. They must allow us access to the truth. Weird code of ethics. It's all kind of in there, isn't it, really? Because if you've got the Old Testament, then they just leave out all the bad shit and just write the New Testament. And then they go, oh, fuck that, we'll not have that anymore. We'll just have the King James Version. Like, it's like a dictionary. You know, why do you need to change the meaning of a word? If you're not trying to trick me, why do you need to change the meaning of a word? If you're not trying to trick me, why do you changing what's in a fucking Bible? It's just a question.
I think that the Bible's clearly been altered so much. You know, you could say some of it's true, but which parts are true, right? So you can't decide with the original Bible anymore. That's for sure. So I think religion in itself, to me, it's written by man, so it's probably again it's times like now, where people start to write out or beginning of new times or but it's times like now where people are like, fuck, this is what's going on. Maybe if we get people back into, and maybe the books are there to try and get them back into spirituality, right? But the problem with God is it's not God belief that's the problem. It's religion that's the problem. When you start to name what you hope for after you die, based on whether it's mythological, based on your own mind, whatever it is, as soon as you start to name that, and then more and more people, why can't you? Because even most religious people don't have all the same ideas, even about their own religion, right? So they're not really all that religion or that religion. Of course, some of them are far more dedicated to it than others. But it's like as soon as you start to give yourself another label, you've stopped thinking, right? You've kind of like, well, I've decided on that, and that's it. There's no more thought. Whereas something like God and the afterlife and what happens to you when you die, really is, even with the religion, I'd imagine they're always thinking about it sometimes, like going, well, maybe when I die this happens or that happens.
What would Jesus do?
But why people want to make fact out of hearsay, just complete hearsay, where there's no link to the person who originally said it, really, right? I know even in Muslims, they say they've got a link, the family link, all the way back to Muhammad. But again, it doesn't mean Muhammad was sent by God. It means that Muhammad might have just been a smart guy going, fuck, look at the state of this place. There's too much alcoholism here. Everyone's getting drunk on this shit. They're all fucking killing each other, raping. They don't care. What can I do to stop it? And maybe he got together with a fucking 10 guys who had really great minds, and they managed to write his book, and he was marketing it, something like that. I don't know. But same with Jesus, who knows? But I don't like to guess, right? But I dare say they were great men, whichever way. But probably all the prophets were great men, right? But it's just a shame that people have to take it to that next extent where they've got to argue and live their whole lives by it, rather than saying, why don't I just be fucking really good as I can, try and help as much as I can with life. If I see a little fucking animal dying on the road, I'll try and save it. If I fucking see an old lady crossing the road and she's struggling, I'll help her, and try and be the better person I can be, rather than just fucking stick to this shit where I know in a lot of these places they're fucking touching children, the ones who are supposed to be the most holiest, right? So why don't I get the fuck out of this shit and just think for myself and go back to man? I'm a man, and well, today I think this, tomorrow I might think that. That's what I do. Like, tomorrow I might think fucking God is a fucking bicycle. Do you know what I mean?
I used to get accused of being religious. I was in a I was in a soul band like the Commitments. Anybody who's seen the Commitments film? I was in a soul band like that, and I joined them. They were already a group. I didn't form anything. They were from Leicester, and they were called The Revelations, which apparently is the first book of the Old Testament, is it? Is it the first one? No, Genesis is the first one. I don't know. Anyway, it's one of them. And so we used to get people ringing up to make bookings for our band, saying, will you come and do our religious festival? And we used to go, what the fuck are you talking about? We're a soul band, and our singer swears a lot.
Fucking hell.
So yeah, I used to get that. There was another one I just dug out the chat room and I've lost it.
Well, listen. Are you going down this spiritual route or what? Because I wanted to ask him. Somebody had put in chat room earlier on what he thought about Bill Maloney.
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, Bill Maloney. I mean, when you look at like Bill Maloney, John, what's his face? The thing I'd say to everyone, right, is
John
just don't trust anyone. Like literally, especially on YouTube, on Facebook, and all that, because their shills are out in, like, some of these shills you'll probably be able to pay a fucking heroin, a bit of heroin each week, yeah. So that they'll come real cheap. They'll sell themselves real cheap. Others might have a grandma on death, and they need the money to pay for her medical bills, right? So many people have been bought right now that are online. Yeah, if you trust in anyone, then you've only got yourself to trust. But I personally think you should stop participating in the system, right? Try and get yourself out and I'm not fully out myself, right? So I'm trying to get out though, right? I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to get the fuck out of Britain. I would, I don't want to scare people, but if you can, just get the fuck out and try and find a safer land right now, because I don't think it's safe in Britain. I don't think it's safe in America, Canada. There's been some insurance thing that's gone out for, some huge amount of money for deaths in USA, Canada, and Australia. So it's just little signs, fucking Tommy Robinson, Danny Tomo are both fucking running the country, leaving the country, ain't they? So all their minions are starting to get out. The people who knows what's going on are leaving the fucking country, right? So I just think get the fuck out and stop. Don't trust anyone. Yeah, go and listen to people, and as soon as they start telling you to vote for someone or telling you to go and form a protest outside London, anything like that, go fucking chill. Why are they trying to lead us into big groups? Why are they trying to tell us to follow tricksters? Just
stand at the gates at the end of Downing Street shouting Tommy, Tommy, Tommy.
Yeah, shit like that. Just stay away from anything that's going to put you into a gang, which a gang turns into a cult, right? As soon as you're in that little group and it's all like you're hating on something or someone and you're all together, and then, you're just getting yourself dragged into hate. And once you start feeling that hate for something, it's very hard to get rid of it, man. And that's when you start to lose your soul, I think. I think when you go through life, a long period of hate in your life, like the Tommy Robinsons, I mean, the whole world's going to need a massive period of what's that stuff where you lay down on a sofa?
Oh, rest.
Well, like, where you lay down and someone talks to you.
Oh, therapy.
Therapy, yeah. The whole world's going to need a fucking rest period just for therapy, yeah, to start to come to terms with what's happened. If in fact it goes our way, right? Including, everyone in the world is going to need that therapy, and they're all going to be like, fuck. Now I see, but
I mean, there's no evil. There's no evil. Sorry, I was looking at some. Anyway, there's no bad here. There's no leaders here. No leaders.
No.
We don't want you to follow us, but if you want to subscribe to us, please do on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And tonight, if you're watching and if you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. If you've not enjoyed it, give us the thumbs down. Yes, let's get. I wanted to get on to. Go on, Adie, did you want to bring something up apart from
just when Mark read that question out? Whoever wrote it, I'm just trying to flick back now. Something Tommy or whatever the name was in the chat room. He's since put that. Oh God, I can't find what he's written. Basically, he's off because he doesn't agree with Mark. He thinks that he is as he's portrayed on the telly. All I got to say is, please don't spit your dummy out and chuck your teddy out. Just have a listen, and you might,
Well, listen, people. There are people don't agree with everybody, and if you don't agree with somebody, then by all means switch us up if you don't want to listen. But at least have a listen, and and just
I've had my mind change loads of times.
I mean, just that when he was talking, when the guy that was watching on Facebook, when he said that he wasn't giving Tommy any credit. Well, the reason why he weren't giving Tommy any credit because he knows. His perspective is that Tommy's an actor. He's not getting any credit. No, he didn't do any of this. It weren't him that did all the work and all this stuff. And I think somebody put as well. I think it was him as well who put that he was in Belmarsh It was definitely in Belmarsh. And again, I suppose you'd say, well, where do you get that from? It's from the newspaper, it's from mainstream media or whatever. Or, unless you were actually in Belmarsh with him, you're not gonna know at all, are you, one way or the other?
As Mark's just said 2 or 3 times, it's where you choose to get your hearsay from. He's right. Because unless I was stood in Belmarsh, I don't know what the truth is.
Yeah, everything's hearsay, really, isn't it? Unless you're there. But it's exactly what you say. It's whether you're going to say that guy in Australia knows better than somebody who's in the same town, who knows people, who probably knows people that knows him, right? It's whether or not. But I think with me now, it doesn't matter anymore because, like I say, you can see. I'm going to show you exactly how they work, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin a story in the thing, and you'll see this guy, right? This guy here, what's he called? It's all about nationalism, just like Germany, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy that I talk about here, he come over to my YouTube channel, and then he done a video on me saying another. You might have seen it. I replayed the video, right? That I'm a shill. Is Shill Destroyer indeed the biggest shill of them all? Right. And he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything in it of why I was a shill. Right. He didn't say anything in it why I was a shill. But then you look at his page, his thing, and this guy, I recognise his voice, and I'm sure a lot of Tommy Robinson supporters will recognise his voice. And he was a big Tommy Robinson pusher, but now he's like anti-Tommy. He's outing him, right? And guess who he's pushing? He's pushing the BNP and Mark Collett, right? So I've done a video to literally show this, like, so people can't say, "Oh no, you're just." But obviously, I couldn't put it on YouTube because I'm banned. So I put it on BitChute. So what I'll do is I'll link it. So if anyone wants to watch it, they can do. But it's only a couple of minutes. So it's not going to bore the shit out of you forever. But
yeah, well, if you get us link, we'll pop it in the description below when this is all over and done with.
Oh, cool.
Let's just say hello to some of the people in the chat room. Bright77 is in there. Super Leeds, as usual. Good evening, Super Leeds. I hope you are feeling awesome. Iman Pudama. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hello to you. Sorry. Sorry.
So we sometimes miss the gag in the name. We miss it somehow because
Is that a gag name?
I don't know.
Iman Pudama. No, not a gag. Listen, if it is your real name, then it's Adie's fault. So don't have a go.
And by the way, I'd just like to point out, Aid Hardy or Adrian Hardy is my real name. It's the one that's on that bit of paper thingy that I can't use for identification purposes because it belongs to the Queen. Because it says on the bottom.
Sorry, it was an inside job. Good evening to you. I believe you're into the 9/11 stuff. Well, I booked a couple of days ago. I booked Mark Conlon, who's going to be coming on. He's just written a piece on Flight 93. So if you want to find out how Mark Conlon has written a piece on Flight 93, he's going to be coming on the 23rd or 24th of, so in a month's time, so 23rd or 24th of May. March, fucking May. He'll be coming on, and we'll be talking about that Flight 93. It's, but it'll just be me, won't it? Because you won't be here. You'll be mingling with the lady boys.
No, I won't.
You don't have to say.
I'll probably be out. I'll probably be out on my mate's boat, actually.
Oh well. Yeah. What at that time?
You got a mate in Thailand?
Like out of me 7 hours ahead in Thailand.
Hey, Mark, you go on. You asked Adie something.
You got a mate over in Thailand?
Yeah, got a couple, but one in particular is a really good lad. Yeah.
You're definitely going to be retiring and going to Thailand then.
Well, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
To be honest, and really, I have got to the point where I just can't take any more of this shit.
Yeah, same.
I don't want to feel the need to do this, and the reason I feel the need to do this is for my own therapy. But I really wish that the world is or was, as it seems, a real place. I don't want it to look like it does, but I want it to be real, and I don't want any of us to think anything other than the world is fluffy and wonderful, and because that's how it should be. But sadly, it isn't. But I've just got to the point where I just don't want to know anymore. I just want to piss off.
That name I couldn't pronounce. Iman Budama, you know what it is?
Name backwards.
Yeah. The made-up name.
Backwards.
Yeah. Bollocks.
Like I said, we often don't get the gag because
We don't. We are a bit slow, though, aren't we? Really? I mean, we are sat here smoking.
Really, and
Yeah.
Mark as well, because he never fucking thought of it either.
What was that? What did I miss?
Round. Ooh, okay, go on. Sorry, go on, Mark.
Well, sorry, what did I miss?
Somebody's name. Somebody in chat room would put their name.
Oh, okay.
And I tried to pronounce it, and it was a made-up name backwards.
And we said we were a bit thick, but you must have been as well because you never noticed it.
Well, I'm not looking at the chat, to be fair. I've got it on the StreamYard. So now
Cardini, this virus might stop you flying to Thailand, Aid. No, I can't fly. I need an A380 to do that. I won't be sitting upstairs. I'll be sitting downstairs. I had a phone call from a friend the other day saying, "Are you really going to go? Aren't you bothered about breathing the air in the plane? Sharing your air with some..." No, really, no, not at all. There's only one thing that's going to stop me going, and that's if they actually cancelled the fucking flight. Because as we know, I mean, the amount of people who've said to me today, "Oh, there's 2 people in Alamshire Hospital who've got that coronavirus, you know. I've got to go to Alamshire tomorrow because I'm having my bowels seen to." What do you think? In the same fucking building.
You should have said. You should have said. You should have looked after your fucking bowels then, shouldn't you?
Honestly, I've had a woman actually say that to me today, and another one say that she's got a bloke say he's got an appointment, and what did I think? I think you've got an appointment, and if you've got an appointment, you feel you need to go, you should go. If you don't feel you need to go, then don't. But for fuck's sake, why does somebody's got a cold? So you're not going to go, really?
The panic, right?
I just think the guy who was the bus driver who drove them from... Where is it the plane landed? I want to say RAF Bryce Norton. Is it Bryce Norton they're flying him into?
No, it weren't. It were an Air Force base, though.
Yeah, it's the same one they always use, and I can't remember.
It weren't. It were one, but it weren't one that they always use. It weren't that one because they used that Royal fucking it? That one where they used to parade us dead in front of us and saying fucking that fucking sick bastard fucking thing. God, anyway, go on. Yeah, they came in. Yeah, and the guy's not got a fucking. The guy driving the bus has just got his fucking coat on, hasn't it?
I mean, I think that man, fucking hell, the guy who's just there with his bus driver's fucking white shirt on, in his uniform, driving his bus with all these people with the deadly virus and fucking doctors in the full hazmat shit, and he's just there with his glasses on driving his bus. Fucking brilliant. But the big question is, if it was that bad, why did they land them where they did? Why don't they just land them in Liverpool Airport?
Why don't they just kill him?
And then drive to the Wirral? Because that was the closest bloody airport. Anyway, what do I know? So,
everybody in a fucking... No, this is what I am. Everybody who's got it and everyone who's, who's likely to get it, there's like that, isn't there? They'll say, oh, you're carrying virus or whatever. It's just not got... They'll all be put into a fucking... a big, industrial unit, and then they'll go to the people and say, "This is the good for everyone else. We've got everybody out here now," and then they'll all stand there on pay-per-view and watch as the fuckers bombed and all the people that are inside perish. That's what sort of world we're sort of heading to. Sort of, I keep saying.
People will be baying for blood. Kill them! Kill them! They've got the virus. Kill them!
Yeah, zombies.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse type thing.
Yeah.
You sneezed. You must be a zombie.
Have you not related?
What?
They're now the mainstream media are now encouraging people to hate everybody because you could have the coronavirus and not even know. So therefore, you've got to be suspicious of everybody,
even yourself.
Yeah.
I'm suspicious of myself.
It'll be a time now where rather than having a big beard and having brown skin will be like scary to walk the streets, it'll be Chinese eyes, won't it?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, our next door neighbours have got them.
So it's mine. I'm really scared. I you know.
Oh, Bright 77. I don't know where you know, but it's not the no. It's Thanos.
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 Regarding the coronavirus, on the BBC over the last few days, they are hinting, don't worry about the virus. It only affects the old, infirm, etc. Everyone are okay. What a joke. I've not seen that, so I'll take your word for that. It was an inside job. Do you know, the fucking BBC are just, it's laughable, isn't it? I'm glad I can't watch it anymore. Well, not until Thursday anyway.
Yeah.
And then I'll only watch it.
I was laughing at Adrian's thing. That coach driver is currently in hospital suffering from extreme laughing. Dear me. Shill Destroyer Mark. We've got about 8 or 9 minutes left if we're going to stick to 2 hours. The floor is yours. What would you like to say?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
You see, he's no good at that, isn't it? I mean, you can't just do that. You've got to bring him into something. You know, let's go Mark Steele and Lee Garrett. Because tonight I was going to begin the show at the beginning and I was going to put on a dark pair of glasses and I'm going to go, no, this is Mark Steele here. I've stolen from Raconteurs News. We took over the station. If you don't oppose 5G, I'm going to stamp on these puppies. Fucking thing, fuck. So let's get on to him. And also Crane as well, who seems to have turned up again from under whatever fucking caravan he's been sleeping.
Fuck, I nearly ran to Crane once, you know that. I nearly ran to him, man.
You what, sorry?
I once nearly ran to Crane. Like, when I first saw him, like, I had no idea, you know, back in probably, I don't know, 2013 maybe.
Right.
I thought he was like, you know, obviously I didn't realise he was fucking a shill. And he was at some park bit, you know, doing some, I think, anti-fracking or something he was doing. I can't remember what it was. But he was doing one of his lives and he weren't too far away and I was fucking going to go run in there and fucking have a good chat with him. We were going to be buddies and I was going to see what he thought we could do to save the world. But fortunately, I didn't fucking go.
Unfortunately, Adrian did, didn't you, Adrian?
Oh, what? To his thing in Sheffield? His talk?
Sheffield, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was doing that thing on fracking, wasn't he? But before that, he'd hung his hat on alien invasions at the Olympics.
Yeah, that even got into Sun. That.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
it was so fucking real and true that it even got in Sun.
John, Crane is definitely not anti-money. No, he's not. That's very true.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. No, he's not anti-money at all.
Remembers Ian Crane from back in Dubai. Not Dubai. Yeah, Dubai, wasn't it?
No, I were in Dubai at the same time as him.
Yeah.
I don't remember him, but I were in Dubai at the same time as him.
But
he comes
I'm
from
not
oil.
entirely sure what his position within the oil or gas industry was, but Jason seems to believe it wasn't a technical position that he'd got. Is that right?
You keep talking for me tonight. You know, these are things I might not. You know, I might not remember.
It depends how much you've had to drink.
Well, I've not had much to drink. Crane. Listen, Ian Crane is, for a start, you can tell, for fuck's sake, can't you, Mark? It's that one of them, and it's like someone does an Ian Crane thing, and you put your fucking head in your hands. You know, it's particularly tonight. Someone in chat rooms put something about Mark Winders, and again another one. I just want to put my head in my hands. You know, he's just.
You just start to realise, isn't it? You start to realise that literally, you know, and I'm basing it on 5,000 subscribers now, because I figure, right, if Facebook allow you 5,000 friends, right, they probably done that. So as soon as you got there, they then go and research you, see what you're saying, because as soon as I got to 5,000 friends on Facebook, that's when I got taken off, and like harshly, where I couldn't set up a new account with new name, new password, nothing. So I think it's going to be the same with YouTube, and I think they're going to look at people, and if they've done their you know, if they're pushing an agenda for them, they're going to be happy with them moving along, which of course I would never be doing no matter what, because I'm always pointing out things that people don't point out, such as the real meaning of Nazi and the things I don't think a lot of people might be too scared to say. Let's say that much, right? So that's why I'm getting hit now. That's why I'm getting, you know, I was already hit. I've been hit twice now, right? I've only got 500 subscribers. I've only been on 3 months, and I've been hit twice. And you can all see the video where the hate speech, right, is police jumping a fence, and I'm laughing at them because it's clearly a staged setup for the camera, and you can see them all running around. Ones where they're not running, they're prancing like little horses, and it's amazingly funny. But to say it's hate speech, and me to actually go and say, and I actually asked them, please show me what is hate speech in this, because it's literally not a word of hate in it. And it's like, wow. So it's a bit like, whew. So you got to be careful out there. But like I said, don't trust me, because if I was the elite, I'd have me up here doing this for some reason or another. Do you know what I mean? For some agenda. But it's hard to find one when it's hard to find. It's hard for people to have a real go at me or say I'm saying something wrong when they've got nothing to attack. And what have they got to attack? What label? They haven't got a right, they haven't got a left, they haven't got a red, they haven't got a blue, they haven't got a religion. What they can attack me for? I'm white if they see me, right?
Yeah. I want to come on to the biggest shill probably ever. Greta fucking Thunberg, twat. I heard today, and I don't know, I'm asking a question.
That Fanny goes sideways.
No, it weren't that at all.
All right, okay.
That she's being offered some job by a government setting some department up, or does anybody know what that is? I mean, I don't watch news, but somebody asked me about it today, and I went, I don't know.
Well, I don't watch news, obviously.
No.
I think she's been in Bristol for summer. I don't know.
Oh, that was some school strike or something, weren't it?
A school strike, yeah. I mean, kids are going to love a day off school, aren't they? They'll fucking go. If you went down and told them, you know, let's have a day off school because fucking they're going to get rid of Shaggy.
Yeah.
They do it.
Yeah.
Off Scooby-Doo, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, somebody just put, it was an inside job. Greta Thunberg will get a Nobel Peace Prize. You're probably dead right. What I just want to point out a couple of things apart from this global warming and climate change or whatever they're fucking calling it this week. When I was, when CB radios were, the in thing, I'd be what, I don't know, in me teens, I guess. And we had this thing called skip, which was white noise. It's the noisy bit that you turn the dial and go until it shuts up. And that's all the distant stuff in the background. Well, there was this 11-year cycle of sunspots which caused this skip. And how it was explained to me was, you got the Earth, and because it's a ball, you can't transmit a sound in anything more than a straight line. So that's the distance you can realistically transmit on a radio to somebody else who wants to talk to you. But if you could bounce your signal off the ionosphere, you could obviously go up and back down and go a greater distance. Now, we did this, or we did the greater distance. What the technical shit was, I don't know. But the way it was explained to me was the sun has an 11-year cycle of sunspots and increased radio noise, and this forms around the ionosphere, around the Earth, and that is what amateur radio enthusiasts, etc., use to bounce a signal off to go a greater distance. So even back then, we were talking about an 11-year cycle of the sun, sunspots, increased radiation, yada, yada, yada. But we were talking about it as an 11-year cycle. And the only thing they never bring in when they're talking about climate change, global warming, blah, 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 everything else, nobody ever mentions the fact of the sun and that it emits all this fucking heat. And then people look at the news and believe that there isn't really an agenda.
I don't know. I was watching somebody yesterday, and it's when you was talking about like the radio waves. And funny enough, I had a CB. I was called Mad Moggy.
What was that? Big Boots.
I was Mad Moggy. 19. Anyone for Mad Moggy? I feel I was about 20. But when you were saying about the frequencies and all of that, right? I was watching a guy yesterday, and he was he's very awake to what's going on in the world, but he's very biblical. But he was saying how he thinks like all this technology is wizardry from some other, something else. There's no way humanity can make this shit. We haven't got the brains to be like this, where we can like do what we're doing now, really, right? Talk to each other across without anything. Like, it's just fucking weird, right? And I never really looked into that. And when he was saying it, I was thinking, he's fucked up, isn't it? I always used to think to myself, how do we get fucking images through those little wires? And then it goes, and you kind of like, I don't know, you kind of think to yourself, fuck, is there more like something much bigger that you don't know? Probably, right? There's probably something like we believe we kind of got a grasp on how they work, but what is it the shit we don't know because we've never heard of is the shit that could be like fucking great.
Yeah.
Iffy, yeah, exactly.
If there is a key out there, they ain't going to fucking show us it easy, are they?
No.
I mean, I think the only thing we can really be certain of is that we don't know the truth. And certainly we're not going to get to find it out by watching that fucking oblong thing in the corner of the room.
Yeah, definitely not. No, I
Yeah,
think
don't talk about my wife like that.
You're right, Jason.
I watched two films the other night with my son. The first two films I'd watched in probably about 3 or 4 months, and first bit of TV, like mainstream, I'd watched really, apart from when I'm pointing out news stories that come up on YouTube. And I mean, one of them was shit. What was that one? That was I think I'd seen it. It was all right, but it's a bit shit. But the Joker, and there's so much fucking,
I tried to watch that and failed.
But then we watched that Eddie Murphy one. My name is. I am someone. Someone in chat will know. My name is saying or other. That was not too bad, but it's just because Eddie Murphy, back in the 80s, wasn't he? We all loved his films back in the 80s, didn't we? But now I'm still like, is he one of them? Probably.
Well, they've let Jim Carrey come back and do stuff, haven't they? Even though he came out and basically said you're all a bunch of fucking assholes. But they've let Jim Carrey back in. I think they've just agreed that everybody thinks he's mental.
Yeah, but didn't they suicide his bird?
Yeah, well, I'd heard that, but I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Oh, it's exciting though. What's going to happen on next week's edition of This Crazy World?
The only thing we know is that the shit they tell us isn't really fucking true.
Yeah, that's
shit.
exactly it. That's exactly it. Just don't trust them. Don't trust. You don't need to trust people, do you? You just got to fucking fight until you can get out. If you can't get out, then you got to fight until you can, right?
Well, that's right. Well, Shill Destroyer, listen, it's been fucking fantastic, man. I'm getting a bit knackered. Don't know about you two. But I'd ask you at this point where people can find your stuff. But you've got a BitChute account now, have you? Or is that something that you had running alongside as well?
Yeah, I don't really use BitChute, but now I'm banned. Obviously, it's I've started to. If I haven't really been doing that many videos, it's kind of give me a break of doing them because, as you know, I like to report as I go along. I like to just see something, go, well, let's show people what's really going on here, or whatever. But so it's given me a break of that. But when something like people are targeting me to straight away try and push me down, even though they just point out that it's one of the shills that are funded to do this. And exactly, you can that video that I put up there will show you like how they work, exactly what they're doing, how they're now going from Tommy to the Nationalist Party, and why they're targeting me. Yeah, so when I'm getting a week spam just after this guy's done that, it's clear to see that my YouTube channel is going to be fucking gone probably within 2 weeks of me getting it back, right? If I'm lucky. And then will I bother with BitChute? BitChute takes forever to load up. YouTube's a pain in the ass itself, isn't it? But BitChute's like, and it's kind of like, you kind of feel like, fuck it, no one's really listening, are they? There's not enough people out there. The ones you're talking to, the ones who do listen, they already know, right? It's like,
yeah, but when you get somebody in the chat room early that we had, that guy who was asking the questions about Tommy, all right, he's gone away. Sorry, they've gone away. It could be a bloke, woman, I don't know. They've gone away, and who knows? He might just kind of go, what was that guy saying? And it might just have planted a little seed that a week, a month, a year from now might, you don't know. All we can do is share our thoughts. That's all we can do.
Yeah. And I think also, like, I don't want the YouTube to go down, not because I want to use it so much, just because it's there, right? So if people in the future want to say, oh, you said this or you said that, I can go, bang, actually, this is what I fucking said then. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? So it's just there for my own being as well. So I can say, look, I fucking warned you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because fuck, it's one thing, but people like to mix your words and say you said this or you told them not to run and all this shit, right? But at least you can turn around and go, no, actually, I told you all to fucking run. Told you all to get the fuck out if you can. Get the fuck out. Run.
Brilliant. Thanks anyway, Mark, for coming on and spending a couple of hours with us here and obviously the people.
Even though you have banned, you very naughty boy.
Always a pleasure. Cheers. And I know that lady who's not speaking to you, it's only because she thinks that you didn't really take her side and didn't give him the person who had a go at her. You didn't have a go at them enough to point out facts. But I think that's just the way you work, and she probably didn't get it. But she's got no grief with you because I had a word with her.
Oh, I don't even know what we're talking about.
You'll know.
All right.
Yeah, I reckon I do. Yeah.
You know.
Okay, all right. We'll probably something for just after we've ended the broadcast, so you can tell me.
Hang about at the end, Mark, because
I'm still.
I think she's cool with you anyway.
Anyway, so thanks to Mark. Adie, last word from you, pal.
Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow night, Owen.
Owen Lloyd Martin, yeah, all the way from Portugal. We'll be talking about all sorts of stuff, just like we always do. And of course, later on in the week, when me and Adie have had a couple of drinks on Friday night, Well, there'll probably be an after dark as well, which is, we usually do these days, don't we? And I'm going to try and make the most of you while I've still got you, because I'm going to be on my own in not very long. In a couple of weeks.
Can I just point out that I have absolutely, I haven't even got a lighter. I've got nothing to smoke here, and I've been drinking orange juice.
Okay.
Because if I get piss tested in Thailand and you've got anything in your system, they'll kick you out. And it takes about 3 weeks to get out your system, doesn't it? So, you know, like I'm alcohol only for the next couple of weeks.
Crossing all the I's and dotting all the T's, eh?
There you go.
I don't know. Let's hope we don't get tested. Please,
look,
everyone.
over here, I can say what the fuck I like, because, well, it's not my country. I share it with loads of other people, but I was born here. So I've got an opinion about our hierarchy and how it all is a load of shit. But when you go to another country, I'm a guest. So I have to act as a guest.
And also, I'd like to just mention as well a big congratulations to Tyson Fury, who won his heavyweight championship of the world the weekend. And the only reason I'm raising this is because he's from Gypsy descent, and I know you are. He's one of your people, Adie. So he's the Gypsy King. So I'll just have to be our very own Gypsy Queen.
Well, all right then.
All right. Well, we're going anyway. Take it easy. See you tomorrow night.
See you later.
See you later.